I didn't really have any thought of it.
They've held our attention for this long. We've had to be able to have a conversation about them, have them be relevant in July. Even though there's a lockout, they've actually had some excitement to make us want to talk about them anyway. So
yeah, the lockout looming. Some experts say could be the full year. I don't think they're that stupid to, coming off a pretty good final where they had a good rating because of LeBron, because of Dwayne Wade. They kind of got, basketball isn't where it was with Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, don't get me wrong, but it's a little more relevant now than what it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago. The product's still not that good. I mean, all it is dunks, free throws, and fouls for the most part.
And traveling.
Yeah, find me a guy who can make a 15-foot jump shot consistently, and I'll take it. Probably the reason Dallas won that game, they actually shot the basketball, something that's been lost on most of the league for at least
Dallas looked good fundamentally. They really did. I also think, and being from this market, the Timberwolves, the Bucks, the list goes on, but we're never going to compete with the Lakers.
No,
we're never going to compete with the Bulls. We're never going to compete, probably even the Knicks, the Heat. There's a list of teams.
Yeah, there's reasons to go to Miami, reasons to go to New York.
But my point being that the lockout, hopefully they can fix something so that at least it can be a little competitive.
Well, the way the NBA is going now, the trend for 2, 3, 4 superstars to go to a same team, that's not going to help the Wolves because you're not going to get Dirk Nowitzki, Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, name your 4 guys to come to this.
To think that it's a good idea to go play up in Minneapolis, it's absurd. But like the NFL has at least every team. Well, I mean, how bad can a team be? I mean, outside of the Lions, how bad can a team be for how long? It seems like it's cyclical. So it's nice to at least see a team come back. Okay, we have a down 2, 3, 4, 5 years, maybe most. But at the end of that couple of years, you're building your way back up. You got some.
Well, yeah, the Lions were in the playoffs in the '90s. The Clippers have made the playoffs once since 1978.
And that's got to fix. That's got to be fixed. It really does. It's got to change. And it's just sickening for the fans. It's not good for the league.
Well, and obviously they're going to lose some more teams because there's a lot of teams in that league losing a lot of money. The Timberwolves being one of them. But you could have some teams folding, which may not be the worst idea ever. But the market we live in now, you don't want your league contracting. You'd like to keep
number one on the list would be the Timberwolves. Probably throwing a Charlotte or New Orleans, maybe a Golden State or Sacramento team in there. But there's 4, 5, 6 teams you could probably just take away and nobody would even know.
Right.
Nobody would even know.
The product would improve. You'd have a few more decent players on each team. It's a pretty watered down product.
It is.
Look at Miami, for example. You've got the very high end with LeBron and Dwayne Wade, and all of a sudden you've got guys making $100,000 that shouldn't be on a bench.
And then 100,000, more like 10 million.
Yeah.
Those contracts are terrible.
Yeah.
And you're only paying 12 guys to play on your team, but they're all making $65 million contracts. Like, where's this money coming from? Because nobody's even going to the games.
Right. So maybe level the playing field in the NBA, make it a little more accessible for every team to compete. And the Wolves don't have to make a ton of money and don't have to be the most competitive team, or I should say a team that wins more, but be competitive. Give us a reason to think that 2, 3 years when these young guys grow into their bodies, there's a future for this team.
I mentioned earlier, 30 wins would be an accomplishment for this team.
It would be.
25 wins would be it's almost like they're going up a hill to get 25 wins. And I think with some of the players in place and maybe the right coach intact, we could maybe get to that 30 win season. If there's a next year or the year after, and that gives us some hope.
So what's it take to get to the next level, your opinion?
Maybe it is coaching, maybe it is leadership. They do mention the veteran leadership on the team.
But as a veteran, give me the best veteran leader in the league, Steve Nash. Let's say Steve Nash comes in. What does he get you? 5 more wins? 6 more wins? Does that guy change the entire culture of the team?
That's a good point. I think right now, as it sits right now, as the roster is right now, I'd have to say the proper coach.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to say the proper coach in the right place gets you maybe 5 to a dozen more wins. I don't know.
Well, from where I sit, we talked a little bit about some of the parts we have. If you move a couple of the parts for the right guy, Martell Webster probably not going to be a starter. We talked about as far as Beasley, you have a logjam with him, with Love, now with Derek Williams coming in. Maybe you move one of those guys. Maybe Wes Johnson shouldn't be a starter at this point in his career. Maybe bring him off the bench. If you could find a guy, Joe Johnson probably a little over the top for what we have to trade. Yeah. But you get a shooting guard. Let's say Rubio works out. You get a shooting guard. All of a sudden now you've got Beasley and Love. They're kind of set, or Williams and Love are kind of set in the front court. And maybe even Darko's functionable now because you have a guy on the outside who actually can make some shots, take a little pressure off the middle. find a guy who can play a little defense. Maybe
Yeah.
you're a 30-win team.
Maybe, maybe you need a guy out there, and I'm just spitballing just because he was in the draft last year. Kemba Walker, like
Yes.
for a shooting guard, somebody that it seems like has played basketball before and kind of wants to take control of the team. That guy, just watching him in the tournament last year, seemed more like a leader, just a veteran of his team. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even though it's college, but he seemed like he knew what he was doing. He seemed really calm and confident. I think the Wolves need to center on getting players like that.
Right, I agree. So Timberwolves at least doing some things to talk about here. So Sports Underground will be right back after a little bit here, and we'll be talking some Wild and some NFL.